There was once a time where almost every home console on the market featured split-screen multiplayer gameplay. As the popularity of online gaming has increased, however, those looking for the perfect couch co-op title to enjoy with friends or loved ones now find their options severely limited. Thankfully though, there are still some developers who see the value in local split-screen and co-op multiplayer. Although it's only been around for a few years, the PS5 already has a fairly decent selection of local multiplayer games, thanks in large to the console's backwards compatibility with PS4 titles. Many of the best two-player PS5 games like Sackboy: A Big Adventure or FIFA 23 confine their action to a single shared screen, but there are plenty of other titles and split-screen options included as well. Hello again friends and welcome back to Game Rant. I'm Casey and these are the best local co-op and split-screen games you can play on the PS5. First up, we've got Sackboy: A Big Adventure. Sumo Digital is a developer that's renowned for its ability to churn out fun and engaging games, and this is once again the case with Sackboy: A Big Adventure. Granted, it perhaps doesn't look quite as impressive as one might expect from a PS5 launch title, but it's far from ugly and makes up for its lack of visual fidelity with tight platforming and an all-around charming adventure. The game's co-op mode is a little reminiscent of the one found in Portal 2, with players working together to solve puzzles and progress through stages. In fact, certain stages can only be tackled with multiple players, meaning that players will need to work together to fully complete the game. This is obviously more fun with friends or family, though the game does now feature online multiplayer for those who prefer it. Up next, we have Sonic Origins Plus. Sonic Origins Plus bundles together 16 classic Sonic games into one single collection. Not all of these games support 2 players, but most of them do. As a result, it's the perfect purchase for those looking to relive their childhoods and perhaps share some of these treasured memories with their own kids or other loved ones. Up next, we have Stardew Valley. Split screen was added to Stardew Valley as part of its 1.5 update and completely changes the way that the game is played. In order to get started, existing players will need to ask Robin to build them a cabin, which will set them back 100 gold as well as some resources. As soon as it's built though, split screen co-op can be enabled from within the game's menu. New players can instead enable the setting by default from the advanced options menu before starting up a new game. Up next, we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. Shredder's Revenge is an expertly crafted love letter to a bygone era of gaming and a must-play for any fan of the genre. Sadly, the PlayStation version is limited to 4 local players rather than the 6 that some of the other platforms are able to accommodate, but this should still be more than enough for all but the most popular of players. Up next, we have Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. Gearbox Software's Borderlands games have always had fantastic local co-op support, and Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, which serves as a spin-off of sorts, continues this rich tradition. Like the most recent Borderlands game, it supports 4-player split screen on next-gen consoles, which can be an absolute blast on a large enough screen. It also works well for those looking to play locally with just a single friend rather than 3, as they'll now have the choice between either a vertical or horizontal split. Though it still suffers from a lot of the same flaws that besiege the main series, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands can still be a lot of fun and offers near endless replayability thanks to the wide array of weapons on offer and its newly refined class system. The Coiled Captors DLC is a bit of a letdown, so players may want to save themselves a few bucks and spring for the standard edition of the game rather than the chaotic Great Edition. Up next, we have Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. The Tony Hawk's Pro Skater games were incredibly popular around the turn of the century, not to mention some of the best sports sim games ever made. With this in mind, the decision to remake the series' first 2 installments for the modern age seemed like something of a no-brainer, particularly with so many lesser titles being successfully remade or remastered. Though not quite as impactful as the original titles, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 was still incredibly well received, with Activision later confirming that the game was the fastest selling entry in the franchise to date. A highly rated next-gen release followed a few years later, with the game then given away to PS Plus subscribers in August of 2022. Up next, we have Warhammer 40k Shoot Us Blood and Teeth. Warhammer 40k's Shoot Us Blood and Teeth is a 2D side-scroller that was released in October of 2022. Fans of classic run-and-gun games should find a lot to like here, even if they have little to no knowledge of the Warhammer 40k universe. It's one of the most underrated 2-player PS5 games of the past few years, offering a healthy spatter of fun and hand-drawn violence for a very reasonable price. There are 4 different classes in this game, each of which has its own strengths and weaknesses. This bodes well as the game supports up to 4 players either locally or online, providing them with an impressive arsenal of weapons with which to cause absolute chaos. It's a bit like Contra, only with orcs and a lot more going on. Up next, we have Warhammer Chaosbane Slayer Edition. Those who enjoy Warhammer games and are yet to experience the base version of Chaosbane should give the Slayer Edition some serious thought, particularly if they're able to pick it up on the cheap. It boasts some excellent boss fights, an endless supply of loot, and a decent amount of customization through classes. There are one or two rough edges and the voice acting is laughable in some places, but these minor bumps are very easy to overlook when playing the game with friends. Up next, we have WRC Generations. The World Rally Championship series has never quite reached the same heights as some of the more established racing game franchises, although WRC Generations arguably comes pretty close. The game looks great and, much like many of its predecessors, supports both online and local multiplayer. Despite split-screen functionality being included, however, the inability to alter the orientation of the split in the screen may frustrate some players, as too might the two-player limit. Those only wishing to play with a single friend or family member should be fairly satisfied with the experience that's on offer though, particularly if they prefer a more rugged driving experience. And finally, WWE 2K23. Following a one-year absence, the WWE 2K series made a triumphant return in early 2022. Granted, WWE 2K22 is far from the best wrestling game ever made, but it's considerably better than anything else the WWE 2K series has had to offer in almost a full decade. WWE 2K23 continues this upward trend, improving on its predecessor in just about every measurable way. Though the majority of game modes are tailored towards the single-player experience, exhibition matches allow for all manner of multiplayer mayhem. There are a ridiculous number of match types available, with players also able to tweak and change the rules and settings to their liking. For wrestling fans, this really is a must-play title. And that's our list, folks. Let us know in the comments if you have any favorite local co-op or split-screen games that you like to play with your family and friends. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, be sure to visit GameRant.com for more top-notch gaming content. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take care for now.